How do you feel about America?
Well, I suppose if I didn't love it, I would not. I would have lived a very different life. And when I left here years ago, I would have stayed away. But I have a family here. I have friends here. My father paid for it, and he's dead, and his fathers before him paid for it, and I have no right to give up something they bought for me.
Right on. Amen.
Good morning and welcome to another conversation with Mose. And as always, I pray life is treating you well wherever you are in the world and that you're one day closer to your dreams, hopes, prayers, and aspirations coming true. That was a quote from the late, great James Baldwin that I thought was very appropriate for today's podcast episode for today. And I've kind of it's been like a James Baldwin month. It's his 100th anniversary. His birthday was August the 2nd. So I kind of been on the journey with him lately this month. I kind of been feeling his aura, spirit somewhat. And I kind of been channeling him. So I really felt like it was appropriate for me to use that quote. And I'll probably be using several quotes from him in the future because he has a lot of stuff out there now that I just seen. It just kind of good and bad. It's unfortunate that we have things that are appropriate for today's life experience. But today's subject matter for today is a black man with no criminal background. Let me say that one more time. A black man with no criminal background. And you're probably wondering, what do you mean, like no criminal background? I mean exactly what I said. You know, there are black men out here that have never been to jail, never been on drugs, never done anything quote unquote bad. Not to be confused with them being perfect, not at all. And of course, I'm going to use myself as an example. And it's really, I haven't really touched on this before. Maybe I've mentioned it a few times, but I really haven't talked about the black men out here that have literally no criminal background and how we're treated. So it's interesting because I feel like since I've gotten in my 50s and even when I was younger, people seem to want to know why I don't have a criminal background. When I go on job interviews or if I'm meeting people personally that want to be my friend, they can't believe I don't have any children, and they can't believe I've never been to jail, never been on drugs, never been arrested, never been in handcuffs, nothing. You know, God forbid. You know, I'm not knocking other people's experiences and not judging their experiences. It's just not my experience. And it was how I was raised. It was what I saw in my own household with my dad and my uncles. And to be honest, I know a lot of it came from both my parents, but especially my dad. It was things that I believe that he instilled in my brother and sister and I, that he just kind of he didn't really pull no punches. And my father told me once when I was like 18 that he would get me out of jail one time. You know, I had a get out of jail free card that I've never used. You know, I've never called my parents to say I was in jail or I was in trouble. And I know they would support me. They would, you know, be in my corner. But again, the fear of going to jail also was something that I never, even now, the thought of it scares the hell out of me. And I've had cousins and friends that have gone to jail and prison even, but it's never been my experience. But what bothers me is that when I go on interviews, specifically job interviews, where it seems to come up, and I know they're going to do a background check anyway. You know, I don't have a problem peeing in a cup, and I'm not really, and I think they think it's arrogance, but it's confidence that I don't have anything to worry about. But it seems like black people can't believe it. It's like, oh, how did you make it this far without that? And then white people are like looking at you like you're a unicorn because you don't have any quote unquote flaws in your background. And to be honest with you, I'm tired of explaining it. You know, I feel like just do the damn background check. And Go by that. And when you don't have anything to hide, when you don't have any deep secrets, there's nothing, And I'm not saying my life again is perfect. It's far from that. But the black men out there, and I would love to hear from you guys to hear what your experiences are like. I'm talking about the educated, and there are educated men that have criminal backgrounds. So let me clear that up. But I'm talking about the guys that are just have done well and they haven't gotten in trouble. There is no secret, we weren't gang members. We weren't, and it doesn't have anything to do with where you grew up at. There's a lot of people that grew up in the projects that didn't go to jail, that didn't experience those things. And the reason I'm even bringing it up is because it seems to keep coming up. Why are we defending ourselves about something that isn't in our lives? And it seems like we are jumping through hoops. And then I really feel bad for the people that are pushing us to be criminals. It's like they want you to get that one arrest on your record. And then it's already hard enough getting a job now. So why would I even want to put myself in that situation? So it just baffles me that we have to explain why we don't have any bad experiences in our background. Why we don't have children out of wedlock. And it doesn't necessarily mean this person is gay. It just means they was raised right. It doesn't have any, and I think that's another assumption too, that a man must be gay or because he has this or he doesn't have that. Just like I don't buy into the fact when people say if a man is very neat, that used to be a stereotype. If he was really neat, he was gay. Maybe he was just raised that way. I know plenty of straight men that are neat. So what do you call a woman that's sloppy, that's nasty, that doesn't keep house well? What do you call her? I just think right now we're living in a time where you got to stop looking for stereotypes. I'm not a stereotype. I'm not. And I feel like I spent years trying to convince myself that there's nothing wrong with me. And there isn't. But I can't believe I'm having these conversations where people can't believe that I am who I say I am. And that part baffles me. I am exactly who I say I am. I am exactly who you see online and offline. And I believe people are pleasantly surprised when they meet me that I am that guy. Now, don't get it confused. Now, I am one of those guys. I don't take shit, though, and people are pleasantly surprised when I show that side of myself. But if you have no reason to see it, why would you be concerned? The only time I really get, what's the word I'm looking for, difficult or maybe challenging, and I don't even like those words, is if I feel like somebody's trying to either get over on me, take advantage of me, manipulate me, lie, deceive me, then you're going to see a different side, But I'm really not. I pretty much am who I say I am. And I like that. I love that about myself. I love that I don't have ulterior motives about anybody. And that's been my most consistent thing. I've never had an ulterior motive. And I hate when people assume that I'm like the last black man, or he must be, well, something's wrong with him. What's going on if he's not like John or whatever? But I've never been like the next man. I never worried about what another man was doing. And I learned that from my dad. Why am I worrying about what Ray is doing? Why am I worried about what's going on in somebody else's house? They don't pay my bills. They don't keep my life afloat. And I'm appreciative of that. But I also don't knock the man next door either. How he makes his money, I don't know what his responsibilities are. I don't necessarily support criminal behavior doing something, but I know we live in America and you got to do what you got to do. And I don't encourage it, but if I had kids, if I had a wife and I had to do what I had to do, I can't say what I wouldn't do for my children and people that I love. And I would hope that I wouldn't get caught. I wouldn't be good at it. And I would do it long enough to get out of the hole if that's what I was going to do. But I don't like other black men. Specifically, I don't. There might be things I don't agree with, but their life isn't like mine. I can't imagine what it's like to have been in jail and to have a criminal background. And they treat me like shit and I don't have it. And it baffles me, the people that I talk to, the nastiness. They even get more mad when you tell them you don't have a criminal background. You know, it's just like when the police stop me, I know they're not going to find anything. I know they're not. But yet I'm still scared. I'm still scared they're going to pull me out of my car and try to kill me. And I don't understand that. I don't understand me even having that fear. You know, I pray for my brother. He's a truck driver, and, you know, that he's covered. My nephews and, you know, my partner. It's just, we live in a world where we've created such an anxiety. And I really have an anxiety about it. And like I said, going on these interviews and having these experiences, especially now as a 50-something man, when people are judging you for the background that you don't have. And I have to admit it really fuels me. I get really upset when I'm answering questions that I've already told you. You know, if you want me to pee in a cup, I'll pee in a cup. But it's like they're waiting for you to get nervous or flinch or and then also trying to justify not paying you a certain amount of money. And I don't understand that. I don't understand the logic. And it seems like more and more people are having these experiences. And what trips me out is I have more compassion. I really genuinely do. I really wouldn't treat my worst enemy the way I've been treated. And I can only imagine if I could be a fly on the wall with some of those interviews with some of my brothers that are out there really trying. And I have much respect for the guys that keep trying. And then I want to talk about Black relationships in conjunction with this. Is what trips me out is I think with Black relationships specifically, we have to have those tough conversations. We have to talk about the conversations with the kids. We have to talk about crime and being stopped by the police. And I still feel like if you're going to be in a relationship with another Black person, your relationship is definitely going to be different than someone else's. And going from relationship to relationship, the Black experience is just, it is what it is. You're going to face some challenges that other relationships don't face. And I've gone through things with my partner. He's seen me go through things that I'm sure he wouldn't wish on me, but it has nothing to do with our relationship. I mean, other than the fact that he is encouraging and helpful and supportive, he know I have to do the work at the end of the day. I have to get out of bed. I have to do the work. I have to continue to strive for better. He can't do that part for me. He can just only encourage me and, you know, keep me positive and things of that nature, or just keep my mind off of it for a little while. But I have to do the work. And that's the one thing about Black relationships that I respect, straight and gay, is the people that put the work in. And you're not going to tell me their relationship is perfect. I don't care if we're talking about the Obamas or if we're talking about Jay-Z and Beyonce. It doesn't matter. Black people have to go through shit together. And I mean, there's no way around it to me. Like I said, there's not you can't have enough sex. You can't drink enough. You can't get high enough. You still got to deal with shit at the end of the day. You still got to deal with whatever it is and not letting it come in between your relationship with your children, with your family. And that's why I do these podcasts, because I want people to have those tough conversations. I want people to refer back to these podcasts because people don't talk about it. We don't talk about the things, the elephant in the room. When things are really bothering people it really bothers me. Like the fact that I get depressed, the fact that I get really angry to where I scare myself, you know, the fact that I cry because I can't control the situations that are happening. I can't respond the way I would like to. Sometimes I do have to suck it up. I'm not a fan of sucking it up, but I'm never going to not be honest about how I feel. I've lost a lot of friends to death, heart attack, disease, because I believe they kept a lot of stuff in because they felt they had to. I'm not a friend. If I'm going to die, everybody's going to know why and what happened and where I was. And that's why I document everything. If I'm not taking pictures, I'm writing it down. Whether it's in a poem, you're going to know where I was. And I want my family members and my loved ones to refer back to those pages to these podcasts to say, what would he say to me? What would he do? Because I don't believe in self-pity. I believe we handle stuff as it comes. You allow yourself some grace and you feel it, own it, figure out a way to get past it and move on. But I also don't believe in wallowing with other people. And yeah, I've gone through a lot of stuff, but I don't want to compare problems with other people at this stage of my life. I want to be around people that are suggesting things to me, that have been through hell, got to the other side, and they wrote a book about it, because I want to know what they did. Like, what did you do to get through that? Or how did you respond to that? I want to know about people that are succeeding at the tough stuff, because I don't want no more shortcuts. I don't think I've ever wanted to take a shortcut. I want to go through whatever I need to go to get to the other side. And I'm tired of explaining or trying to justify my life. And I really ask God to help me with that, because I feel like, why am I explaining my life to people? My resume speaks for itself. And when you meet people that are constantly trying to trip you up, trying to catch you in a lie, I have no reason to lie. I genuinely don't. And what I really love is my parents know who I am. I lost a lot of friends in the 80s and 90s. Their parents simply didn't know who they were. My parents pretty much know 99.9% of everything about me and my personality. The police, nobody could tell my parents anything about me that my parents didn't already know. So there's not too many things that, maybe a few personal things my mother and them don't know, but it's general. But for the most part, they know my personality. They know my work ethic. They know, pretty much every detail, my personality, what pisses me off, what kind of man I am, what kind of gay man I am. Because I've had those conversations with my parents. They know. I know they worry about me, but I try not to share things with them until I've got a resolution. And what I mean is that if I have a problem, I usually will come to them after I've resolved it. Now, if it's something I feel like I need to talk to them about, then I will. But when it comes to life experience, I don't want to worry my parents. They've been great at giving me the tools that I need to get through it. Now, my parents weren't perfect. They didn't give me, I feel like, everything I needed, but they gave me the necessities. I haven't been able to survive this long, 56 years. Let me just say that for one moment. I'm a black man has lived 56 years. I have both my parents. They're in their 70s. How blessed am I? And I'm constantly reminded of that. And every time I walk out my house, I always feel like I'm representing my family. No matter what I do, I'm representing my family. My grandmother, my grandfather, I'm representing my ancestry, my heritage. And I don't want to do anything to embarrass my family. And again, this is not to put down anybody. This is just me. Every time I leave the house, every time I speak, I want my grandmother to be proud. I want my parents to be proud. That's my son, or that's my grandson, or that's my brother. And it's hard sometimes. It's hard. Like, my sister and brother know how I am. So when I'm having a problem, I'll call. Hey, your brother's going through this. And I don't need them to do anything. I don't need them to say anything. I just need them to know what I'm going through. And I try to get them to reciprocate whatever they might be going through. And the same thing with my godson. I would do anything for him. But I never dismiss his anger. I don't believe in pretending that somebody's not upset or they're depressed or sad. Whatever. Just because it's not a big deal to you, it's a big deal to them. And it gets back to being the black man with no criminal background. There's no blemishes on your record. But why do we have the anxiety too? Why do we have the fear of being pulled over as well? It's like even now, I've never owned a gun, but now I'm in the space where I'm thinking about getting one. And I wasn't raised with a gun. I have no idea. And most people I know have one, at least one, and have experience with a gun. Now I'm at such a crossroad in my life to where I don't know what's right or wrong. And I've always led what's the word I'm looking for? A respectable life. And I've always felt like I was contributing to society. I've always been respectful of others. But I've never seen so much disrespect, so much nasty energy, especially now with the political climate being what it is. I don't know. And I'm not a young man anymore. I don't have the same energy that I had. I don't have the same patience that I had. And it scares me. It does. And I don't want this podcast to be like, I'm not trying to gaslight anybody or scare anybody. I'm just being honest that why are we still in this space where we are trying to justify our lives? And I'm not going to just sit up and say Black Lives Matter, because they do. But it's just one of those things that I don't know if anybody understands exactly what I'm feeling. And that's the other thing that frustrates me when you're talking to people about your life and the experiences that you have. And it's like, you just get past it, get over it, or that's just what they do. I don't believe in that. I don't believe. Why are they still asking me the same question over and over and over again when I've told you no? And when I'm even checking boxes on my, why are they still asking you, what are you? Or are you black or white? Or now they got these new questions. Are you male or female? And then not binary or whatever. Shouldn't you be concerned about what they can do for the job? We're still asking those questions. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. And I have to get back to that James Baldwin quote. My father, my grandfather, they did pay for this country. They paid my way to get to where I am. How can I not own up to that? Like I said, I'm proud. I got my work ethic from my parents, especially my dad. It's like, and I'm very proud of my accomplishments. That's the other thing. I don't have any blemishes on my record, but if you Google me, you'll see the things that I've done throughout my life. The accolades that I've created for myself. And I don't believe in waiting around for somebody to pat you on the back. I pat myself on the back. I'm proud of my accomplishments. I'm proud of the things that I project, the image that I project. I'm very proud of that. Very, very proud of what I represent. And I want to encourage that black man. I do. And I would sit up and say every man, but every man's not going through what black men are going through. So I'm not even going to say that. I would never say that. I can't speak for another culture. I know that every black man has to face certain things that other people don't have to face. And before black women get on their soapbox, I know y'all go through your own thing. It's just different. We all end up in the same exact place with the same exact feelings, but we get there differently. And I would never argue with, I'm going to have guests. I'm not trying to say who has the worst experiences in black life. I'm not going to get on that. I'm never going to be like, oh, yours is worse than mine, or I haven't gone through certain things. So I'm not going to say, my life is just the worst, but I would never compare myself to another black man and his struggle. Because the bottom line, struggle is struggle. Shit is shit. Does it matter where it comes from, how it gets to you? Is how we deal with it is the part. And I want to be around more people that we can help each other. And I'm not talking about financially. I'm talking about mentally, emotionally, spiritually. That's the tribe I'm talking about. Why am I hanging around people that are gaslighting me, that are not helping me mentally with my struggles? Because that's what it boils down to me. I'm exhausted. I don't want to be mad all the time. I don't want to. And I want somebody that's going to say, you know what, Mose, let's do this. Let's do that. And I'm not talking about just church. That's the other thing. People, we just go to church. Church people are just as treacherous, if not more treacherous, than people that don't go to church. So please don't pull that. card because I've been down that road too. I don't trust church people that much. Yeah, I'm saying it out loud. Church people can be just as treacherous, if not more treacherous. Black church folk. And maybe I'll do a podcast on it, but right now I'm not even going down that road. But all I'm saying is there are people out here that are really trying, black men that are really trying, that don't have a criminal record. No drug background, no rehabilitation center. We are just living our best life the best we know how. Working 2 and 3 jobs, trying to be creative, trying to follow our dreams. And again, I'm not knocking the man that's had the struggle. His struggle is just different than mine. And I know that I could have done some things shady. I could have done some things in my background years ago to get ahead. But I'm one of the few men that I still want to do it legitimately. Any accolades or any level of achievement, I want to get it like everybody else. I want to get that phone call that says, "Oh, Mose, we've been looking for you. You know, Mose, we want you a part of this project." I don't want to have to trick somebody or manipulate anybody to work with me. And like I said, my resume speaks for itself. And I am who I say I am. And I'm not the only man that's like that, or woman. And I wanted this podcast to reflect my transparency, my honesty. That's the one thing I like about podcasting, is that I'm not giving you this polished answer. This is what I'm doing every day. This is how I'm handling it every day. So again, I hope it gives you some perspective, because I also want to do a podcast on aging, dad bods, and staying healthy, and heart concerns and gut concerns, and just a whole podcast on health, sex and health and spirituality. Because I believe that as we get older, we have to do things differently. We're dying in our sleep. We're having heart attacks. We're getting diseases. We got to do something different. We do. You know, I want to live to be in my 80s, even my 90s, if possible. But if it's not meant for me, I definitely want to make sure I'm purposeful in what I say and what I do to make it easier for the person behind me. When I become an ancestor, I want people to say, you know what, just like with James Baldwin's quote, I want somebody to quote me and say, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. And I hope you enjoyed this particular podcast. I just wanted to do something, again, very transparent and honest. And I don't have a solution right now. You know, I hope you have one. You know, for the people that listen to my podcast, if you want to make a suggestion, hey, by all means, I'm listening. And I will, like I said, in the near future, have guests on so we can talk about different things. And as always, you know, I pray life is treating you well, exceptionally well, wherever you are in the world. And that you're one day closer to your dreams, prayers, hopes, and aspirations coming true. Thank you for listening.